Hello everybody, welcome back to another amazing episode on Life with Mokes. I'm super excited to be filming this episode. It promises to be an interesting one. Do you know something? The older that I've gotten, right, I've always daydreamed about going back to Nigeria. And I know it's going to come as a shock to some of you. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, I currently live in Canada, right? And I've been daydreaming about going back to Nigeria for a lot of reasons. So I wanted to just share my heart regarding this. But first of all, before we get into the video, I wanted to appreciate a special set of people. So if this is your first time on my channel, I wanted to say, I see you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like the kind of content that I create here. We talk about faith, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about family, and everything that's interesting, right? It's a God-centered community and you're welcome to be part of it. And of course, for my constant viewers, my returning viewers, thank you, thank you, thank you. I wouldn't be here without you. So let's get right into the video. The truth is, I came to Canada in 2015 of September. And when I was coming, I was very young. I think I was about 21, right? And this will be my 10th year in Canada, by the way, for more context. So yes, I'm 31 and it's like, oh my gosh, girl, the older you get, the finer you become, you're aging. Well, not aging, no. I beg, I'm not aging, no, but you are getting older and you're looking younger. Because if you look at me, you think I'm 16, right? Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that being said, when I was coming, obviously I was naive. I kind of grew up in a sheltered home, so I didn't know a lot of things. Meaning that, I wasn't street smart. And so my parents did a fantastic job in raising me, of course, but also I was very sheltered. And so this was my first time living on my own because, primary school, obviously, I was with my parents. And then I went to a boarding house. And then from there, I went to a private university. Anybody who knows Covenant University knows that it's like almost like a glorified secondary school, like people will always say, a very great place, but also, it's very, very sheltered as well because they have lots of rules and it's almost like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Anyways, you get the gist, right? And so coming to Canada was the first time I was going to live on my own. I didn't know what to expect. But one thing I knew was I was not going to come back to Nigeria without getting my PR at least, okay? So I came into this country. Obviously, I was very happy and excited. Shout out to Bossadi and Funsho Ibitoye for giving me all they had and investing in my future, because obviously, as you know, getting a master's degree is not beans. Well, as of 2015, it was a lot of money, right? I think we spent like around $35,000. And I cannot even begin to imagine, how people are affording that right now because as of that time, Naira was 150 Naira to $1. Can you imagine how much it is now? It's like about 1,200 Canadian dollars to 1 Naira, right? And so it's ridiculous, but for every international student out there, God will continue to provide for you and your parents. God will bless your hustle and God will just help you because I know it's truly not easy. So yeah, as I was saying, that's my story of how I came into Canada. And once I got in here, like, I remember just thinking, oh, you know what? I'm just going to work and I'm going to make money and I'm going to be this and be that. Of course, things don't always pan out as you expect. And I remember thinking to myself that when I get my PR, just maybe I'll go back. Because I don't think I ever envisioned to live in Canada, right? But guess what? Now I'm married to the love of my life with 2 amazing children, a boy and a girl. God is faithful. I remember the toughest year of my life in 2016 stroke beginning of 2018. A lot of things were going on with me. At that time, I was falling sick a lot. Maybe I would share in more details, some other time. And I got into an accident with a car rental that did not have insurance on it. And I had to pay $20,000 out of pocket. Guys, when I tell you that this time of my life was the toughest time, you would not even begin to imagine, because think about this. I literally had just lost my job, because the accident happened, of course, like they wouldn't get the car rental company wouldn't get back to you up until when they've done the quote and everything. So it took a few months for them to get back to me. And when they got back to me regarding how much I had to pay, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so turbulent because I just lost my job and I had to be paying $600 every month because obviously who has $20,000? And I could not go and meet my parents and say, oh, mommy and daddy, after you spent $30,000 on my head, now come and pay for a car rental that I used to I went to the place, I drove that car myself and I entered accidents, come and pay for it. Like, how would that sound, right? So it was a lot of pressure, there was a lot of hustling. But I remember that time thinking, so many times I was like, can I just go back home? Would it be a better option to go back home? But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, well, Nigeria, I love Nigeria. I know that if I go back to Nigeria, I have a room in my father's house, but there are lots of things that are wrong with this country, really. So choose your struggle. And God is so faithful, because during that time he raised a friend. I'm not going to say her name because of privacy, but shout out to you. You know yourself. This person literally carried me. When I say carried me, like she literally was helping me out, helping me to pay the debt. I didn't know this person from anywhere. I met her through another friend. We became close, and then God just used her to help me pay the debts, because again, I didn't have any job. And God also raised multiple of my friends. You guys know yourselves. That year of my life, I was squatting from one place to the other with this friend, and then to another friend, and to another friend. So just let me digress a little and say that when you see people right outside that look a type of way, you think, oh, soft life, soft babe. You never know what someone is going through. You never know people's story. And so when people have gotten to a place where they are somewhat successful, or where they're able to afford a certain lifestyle, your first response should not be, oh my gosh, they have it so easy. No, because you never know what people have gone through. When I tell you that I saw Shaggy, I saw Shege what? Pro Max. But all of this being said, I thank God for also like an amazing husband who was my boyfriend then. Obviously, at that point I was thinking, will this boy run away? Because like I said, a lot was going on. Aside the debts, also I was falling sick. There were so many things happening around me. Thank God for a man that will stand by you, loyal, right? Forever, my baby. I love you forever. Till death do us part, okay? So I said all of this to just give you like a background of my life in Canada, to let you know that it's not been easy. Obviously, after that I found a job, and I was able to pay the debts, like I said, with assistance of my friend as well. And I'm now debt free. Glory be to God. That has been written off my hands, and I've washed my hands of any kind of situation. Now if I hear insurance, if I hear say I don't buy them, thank God for wisdom now. Thank God, because when you go through issues like that, you learn, right? So anytime I'm renting a car, obviously now we have our own cars by the special grace of God, and we have insurance. And on that car, I've made sure to ensure that there's rental insurance. And then my husband is like, if I'm renting a car, better buy insurance. We don't want to hear stories that touch. But now that there's a lot of stability, to God be the glory, I'm a citizen, right? And getting my PR was another I don't know, I'm laughing, guys, because honestly when I think back on what I've been through, the fact that I'm standing here is by the mercy of God. Okay, let me just catch myself. So getting my PR was another stressful situation. But now I thank God, because I'm a citizen. I'm not saying this to brag or anything, right? I'm just saying this to say that anyone that's struggling out there, it does get better. I thank God that I didn't give up and go back to Nigeria, because the Nigeria of today, wow. So I wanted to actually just do a little bit of comparison between Nigeria and Canada. Like I said, now that I'm older, I've thought about it, okay, is it possible for me to go back to Nigeria? Because Nigeria gives you a lot of convenience when it comes to luxury. And hear me out, right? When I say luxury, I don't mean the fancy things, going to 5-star hotels and all that. Yeah, of course, in Nigeria, it's always a vibe, right? Nigeria, or Lagos specifically, has that lifestyle of partying and living like the local and all that. However, I'm talking about luxury in terms of, the convenience you get to outsource a lot of things, right? You can get a house help, you can get a cleaner, you can get a driver, you can get a cook. One of my friends, I remember talking to her, and she told me, that she has a help for each of her children, and then she has a cleaner and a cook and a driver. And then she was like, but even with all of this, it's still stressful. In my mind, I'm like, stress where? Do you want to compare? Do you want to switch for a little bit? Because guess what? In this Canada, who is the driver? Daddy and mommy. Who is the cook? Mommy mostly, sometimes daddy. Who is the cleaner? Mommy and daddy. Who is the driver? Like I said before, mommy and daddy, right? So if you say, Elizabeth, come and sweep, you are the Elizabeth that is going to come and sweep, because nobody's going to answer you, right? Because the way Canada is set up is that even if you're earning $150,000, and I'm not even trying to say, again, if you say this to the average Nigerian, they're like, $150,000 is a lot of money, people are enjoying. No, because guess what? You have mortgage to pay, utilities, there's house, home and auto insurance, there are different things, maintenance for your car, and it's super expensive. I remember something happened to my car, right? My Volkswagen, right? It's just a small Volkswagen Passat 2012. It's not a new car, whatever. And then before you know it, I'd spent like $5,000 on this car. I told my husband, I said, What's happening? Small thing like this, they will say $2,000. I say, is it not to take this car to panel bita or to take it to mechanic that will just say, okay, I beg 100,000 naira or something? I'm saying that, you know, when I do the comparison, I am really tempted to go back to Nigeria, because if you have small change, you can live as a big girl. Like I said, you can outsource a lot of things. And because of the phase of life that I'm in right now, I think about it all the time that, oh my gosh, right, it would be nice to actually outsource, you know, like my cooking or my cleaning, or get someone to take some of the chores off my hands to give me more time to do what I want to do. But I cannot afford it, because one time I was even just looking online and checking, oh, you know, how much they pay nannies, and I saw $20 an hour. I said, $20 an hour. So how much is my salary? If I pay $20 per hour, we'll go and be drinking Gary, or we'll live on the streets. At the end of the day, you would not have a house to actually nanny in, right? So it's super expensive. And I think about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, this is one of the reasons why I'd like to go back to Nigeria. Another thing is healthcare. Now, hear me out. Healthcare in Canada is good because you have doctors that know what they're doing. Of course, you know that the standard here is really high because there are bodies and, you know, there are regulations to ensure that, you know, doctors are doing the right thing. And if somebody actually misdiagnoses you, or if somebody actually does something wrong, you can actually hold them accountable, right? You can sue people. And it's just, you know, the knowledge and the technology is better. However, let me let you know that, I mean, Ontario, Canada, okay, there's one time that I went to emergency. When I say emergency, right, it means that emergency means that there's something that's happening to you that is life-threatening. And I promise you that people have been waiting there for 10 hours to 12 hours. This is not a joke. It's happened so many times because, again, there was a time in my life when, you know, I was falling sick a lot. And then I went to the emergency room quite a number of times at that phase of my life, right? And I remember one time that there were people who actually, what am I even saying? So this happened recently. There was something that happened and I needed to go to the hospital. It was an emergency. Thankfully, everything was fine with my baby. And there were people, you know, when I got there that, you know, had been waiting for 10 hours. This girl said, oh, she's leaving. She has work the next, she had work in the morning. And she's like, yeah, so they asked her to sign this waiver form saying that if anything happens to you, you are taking full accountability. The girl said, yes, no problem. Because I'm like, it's insane. So in Canada, there's shortage of doctors. So unless you actually have a life-threatening situation where you are dying, where you're like, help me, I can't breathe, I'm about to pass out, that's when they will answer you, okay? And obviously, once you get to see the doctor, you can be assured that you will get good healthcare to an extent, right? Now, in Nigeria, if you have money, you are going to be a bowler, right? I remember seeing this Evercare hospital on TikTok, and this woman had a baby there, and she was sharing the food that they served. I said, hey God, Nigeria, oh Lord, what did you not serve her? Yeah, marita and this, yeah, indomie and fried eggs, and jollof rice with stewed chicken, and moi moi and this pap, and it was just like looking very fancy. I'm like, this is something that, you know, I really wish that will be incorporated here. But obviously, again, it's sad because in Nigeria, if you do not have money, you cannot afford healthcare. That is what differentiates Nigeria and Canada. If you're students, you have insurance, right? So your insurance is going to cover you. But if you're on work permit or you're a citizen or you're a permanent resident, you have free healthcare. So you don't need to do anything to have free healthcare. You don't need to be rich. Just be a Canadian or just have the right papers and you'll be able to access it. Now, the healthcare, like I said, has scale leg because unless you are dying, you cannot get to see a doctor. There was even a time where I had like some kind of boil in my armpit or something, right? And I was worried that this boil is not going away. So my doctor referred me to a specialist. Guys, the specialist appointment was in 5 months. By the time I saw the guy, the thing had gone. The guy said, unfortunately, this happens a lot of times where they will refer people to you, and then by the time they come, the thing has resolved itself because it's such a long wait, right? So I think about it that, you know, I would love that, you know, in Nigeria, people can actually afford healthcare regardless of whether you are poor or rich, because this is something that should be made available to every single person. But in comparison to Canada, if you have money, you can get good healthcare. If you don't, like, it's over for you. You know, I remember seeing this video, you know, where Apogo doctor shared something about, you know, it was like a delivery, like I guess like a labor and delivery hospital, and it was appalling, guys. That video almost made me shed tears because I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is this? This place was very dirty. There was one bed. They had like, they put the instruments, like the surgical tools in a bucket. It looked like very disgusting. I'm like, do you know that when women are pregnant, like when you are pregnant as a woman, right, that's the most vulnerable time of your life, literally. When I tell you this, like, I've had 2 children and I know how vulnerable it was and how, like, you know, how much I felt almost helpless, and I was like, oh my god, my life is in the hands of, you know, the healthcare people that are tending to me. And I cannot even begin to imagine that that is the level of healthcare that is, you know, available to people who cannot afford better. The average Nigerian cannot afford better. So what are we talking about? So when I think about going back to Nigeria, this is another reason why I won't go back, because yes, if you have money, you can afford healthcare, but for the average person, really, you know, it's an Oyo case, OYO, you know, you have to figure things out yourself. I remember this TikToker talking about how, you know, I don't think it was an emergency, but she just needed to take her daughter to, you know, the hospital at night, and they were closed. How is the hospital closed? This is supposed to be a place that's running 24/7. I don't understand. Is it that, oh, when people are sick, there's a time, they're only sick in the morning and afternoon, and when it's nighttime, it's like, okay, you know what, sickness, go away. You come back tomorrow morning. Is that what it is? Do you know how many people have died because of negligence, because of misdiagnosis, because, oh, maybe they got to a hospital and they could not afford it, and they're like, oh, unless you go and buy blood, unless you buy. That's another thing that irritates me. In Nigeria, what are we talking about? Third thing is security, right? In Canada, it's secure to an extent, right? Because when you're walking down the street, you're not looking over your shoulder, you're not thinking anything bad will happen to you. And honestly, in Lagos, when I lived there, it was secure to an extent as well. However, there is a larger chance of getting robbed, getting kidnapped, getting, you know, shot by police for doing nothing in Nigeria. So, except again, like you're in the upper echelon where you can afford private security and you're moving around with security, you can literally fall into the hands of a policeman that is drunk, or a policeman that just decides that he wants to make your life miserable, or a policeman that wants you to bribe him and you're refusing to, and they can shoot you, right? So security sucks. Or is it when, oh, something happens, you in Canada, you can be like, oh, hello, 911, oh, please, oh, come on. And then you best believe that they will come as soon as they can, right? They will take it seriously. In Nigeria, you say 911. Is it 999? I don't know the number, sha. But you call police will tell you, oh yeah, I beg, help me send money for fuel. These are the issues. So when I think about it, I'm like, I want to go back to Nigeria, but the day you go and enter, you know, Quanta, who will you call? Like, whose number will you call? It's only God. The Bible says safety is of the Lord. And truly, Nigeria, safety is of the Lord. Every day, I know that before people go out, they have to pray, because they're like, God, I beg. As I step out like this, let me come back in one piece. You know, and just the structure. You might be driving on the road and a tanker will fall, and it will explode and kill thousands of people, or hundreds of people. And so these are the issues. So when I think about going back to Nigeria, I love it because I'm like, yeah, I can afford to do more with my time, and I can outsource a lot of things, you know, and I get help, and there's a community of people that look like me, and it's just a vibe, and it's nice. But then these other issues are there, so I cannot really just ignore them. Do you understand? Do you feel me? So I want us to talk in the comment section. Like, let me know how you feel. Like, if you're in the diaspora, like, does anybody actually ever think about going back? I do all the time, because, you know, home is where my husband and my children are, but then there's a part of me that's still longing to go back to Nigeria. I think about it. Maybe when my kids are older, maybe when, you know, I don't have as much of I guess like a risk, maybe I would consider doing half and half in Canada, half in Nigeria. Who knows? But for now, all I can do is visit when I can. Oh, another thing I miss is the food. Oh my gosh, imagine in Nigeria, you go out, you can buy suya, can buy moi moi. Oh God, Nigerian food is so good, guys. When I tell you that when I go back to Nigeria to visit, I'm going to chop. If I say I know it, I will eat, and I'll lose the weight later. I'm joking, no? I'm joking. I'm trying to lose weight right now, so I'll eat moderately, but I will try a lot of restaurants, right? So I just wanted to just share this and share my heart. You know, this is a gist session. It's not anything serious today. Let me know in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Do you want to go back? Are you considering? Have you set like a time and say, okay, in the next 15 years, I'll go back? You know, what is it like for you? Obviously, if you're still to the end, I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching till the end. And let's comment in the comment section. I promise that I'll be responding to as many comments that I can. All right, so let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone, and bye. Mwah.